Okay, so I showed you we're going to draw one from the front. Here's where we run into some problems. A lot of you will have no problem coming on here and drawing like the oval for the head or a circle. Either one works fine. I don't care. And then you go to draw the body on it, and you come on here like this. Okay, now it looks like a balloon floating in the air. You go to put the shoulders on it. Okay, we got that on there. Then you go to put the hips on it. All right, and then we got to put the arms on it. So you come on here and you go. Okay, shh. Get the other arm on here. Then we got to put, this is called the hip joints right here. This is a mistake, okay? We don't want to do this. Then you come on here and you go, okay, I'm putting the knees on it, and then I'm going to put the feet on it, one facing me and one going sideways. Okay, we have some problems. That chest, for one thing, is way too big, okay? Okay, is way too big, and he doesn't do leg workouts, all right? So, and that proportionally, things are close, but here's the other problem. We're going to draw, like I say, we're drawing some mistakes. You'll come on here, you'll get this on here. You go, okay, Mr. Adams said don't make that chest so big, so I won't make it so big. Okay? So now you made it skinnier, and then you put the hip on it. And there you're like, okay, last time he said that my arms and legs were too short. Okay, and then I get something like this. And I'm kind of like, do you not see the problem here? And they're like, no, it looks good. No, I mean, if you're in the NBA, you're probably really excited to have this guy play for you. But he's a bit distorted. His legs are like twice as long as his arms. And I got news for you. Nobody's arms are twice as long as their legs, unless your leg has been extended and your arm has been cut off at the elbow or something. Okay, so too short and too wide, too tall and too long and too narrow. Now let's follow along. So on your paper, on the left side, and for those of you that forget what your left hand is, it's the one I'm showing you right here. My pencil's in my right hand. Okay, we're going to come over here and we're going to draw an oval just to start with. If you're more comfortable with drawing a circle, draw a circle. I don't care. Circle or an oval, either one is fine. You can see this on here compared to my eraser. You can see how big it is, because everybody in here at some point or another has seen one of those erasers. Then we're going to take and draw a line straight down from the middle. Okay, that line from here to here, that's about 3 inches long. Okay, it's not a little bitty short. In fact, I'm going to just check it real quick with my ruler and see how close I am with my guess. Oh, I'll do it about 2 inches. So I lied, 2 inches long. 2 inches long. Then we're going to put an oval on here before we draw the chest. I'm going to come across here like this, and then just connect them at each side. It's not so important that that is a perfect oval so much as it's wide enough and not too small. So now it looks like a balloon on a stand almost. Now on either side of this oval, I'm going to put a circle right here and a circle right here. That's our hip joint, okay? That's so your legs can swing to and fro. And I'll hold that up closer so you can see exactly what I did there. That's just our hip joints. Okay, above the hip, we're going to come a little ways above the hip right here, and I'm just going to make a little mark. Because what I want to do is I want to leave some room between where I'm going to put my chest and the hip, okay? And so that's just a mark as a reference. That's all that is, a little tiny reference mark. We're going to come down and make sure we give it a neck. So then I'm going to come across here. my line going from here to here will be slightly wider than the hips. Okay, that's our goal on this, is to have our shoulders wider than our hips. Now, some of your parents that are getting old probably like, man, my shoulders ain't wider than my hips no more. And it's kind of depressing. Okay. I feel bad for them. I'm kind of getting there myself, so I can say it. All right, so now from the end of this, we're going to make a line go from here to our mark. So we're just going to bring that down. I'm going to do it lightly first so I don't mess it up. I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. Now I know where I want it. I'll make it darker. Okay, here is something to take note. If your distance from here to here and here to here are entirely different, and you got one way longer than the other, you got some erasing to do. Okay? So if one's really long, erase it and make it shorter. They should be about the same width from the center to the corner on each one. Okay? So you'll have to make that adjustment. Now, with that said, if I'm getting too far ahead of you, please raise your hand and let me know to slow down. All you got to do is raise your hand and I'll know, okay, you need another second. So does anybody need any more time to get to this point of completion? All right, that means we're all good. Now, we are going to put the legs on it. Here's where as often there is a mistake. So we're going to do this anatomically correct. A lot of times people try to draw the legs straight up and down just like it was drawn with a ruler, just like that. That's not really how your legs go. They slightly angle in. So this is just, I'm going to go from the middle of that joint that I put there, and I'm going to slightly angle it in, and I'm going to make this about as long as that neck is from here to there. And then I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to do the same thing, just slightly angle in. Now, I don't want to make closer than that because I don't want my knees touching, okay? Or you're going to look goofy. Okay? And then right here, we're going to put a circle there and a circle here, and that is now our knee joint. Okay? Now you'll notice on my paper, we're getting down past halfway here. So here's the top of my paper. Here's probably about the middle, and I'm down below the middle here. So that'll help you with your length on your legs, because if you're above the middle and you got the bottom of your knee there, you're a little on the short side. If you got your knees clear down here, you're going to have some little bitty shins. You'll be like, holy shin. That's right. You messed that up. All right. Okay, let's continue on. We're going to bring this one down, and this one will be a little more straight down. Okay, it's not quite as long as this line. It's just slightly shorter. It's pretty long, but slightly shorter than this line. So if you want to measure, you can take your pencil, put the tip of the pencil where your line starts, and then grab it where your line ends at the knee. So I got the tip right here. I'm grabbing it at the knee. Then I can bring this down here, put it in the middle of my knee, put my finger here, and see, oh, I'm a little long, so I'm going to shorten it just a little bit because I had them exactly the same length. So I just shorten it so it's not as long. So the other one I'm going to bring out, and it's going to be fairly straight down, and it's going to be the same length. These should be right across from each other. Just like these knees should be pretty much right across from each other, so should the bottom of your leg right here. We have not put feet on it yet, though. We will do that shortly. All right, now, first leg, or first foot, this will be the easy one. We're just going to do an equilateral triangle. You all know what that is, right? Equal sides. Okay? And then the one on the other side is not an equilateral triangle, because this one's turned sideways. What's that triangle called, you experts in geometry? I thank you, isosceles. It's almost 90. What we have now is we got to do the arms and the hands. And I'm going to show you a couple of ways to do hands. And that'll apply as you're doing your drawings. Yep. Well, one's forward, one's sideways. Like he's getting ready to take off and go that direction. All right, back up to the screen. We've got to put the arms on it. We're going to bring one arm, and it's going to go slightly out almost to the hip right here. This one on the other side is going to go slightly out. Well, let's make it slightly out, almost to the hip, just above the hip. Now I'm going to put a little circle on that one. Now, here is a common mistake, and this happens all the time, so I want to point this out. You'll get the upper arm correct, and then you go to draw the lower arm, and you'll make it really short. And if you actually stand up, I'm not going to have you stand up. You don't need to. Well, we'll just go ahead. Go ahead, Creighton. Stand up for a second. Put your shoulders, stand straight up and down. Notice how far his hands are below his hip. They're almost just above the knee, okay? That's what I want you to notice. So when we go to do this next part, this is where our hands got to be. It's clear down here. So we want to bring our forearm down here like this. And then we're going to make it a diamond shape, shorter on the top, longer on the bottom, just like that. Okay? But it's above the knee. On the other one, we're going to do the same length, but we're going to draw the hand differently. I'm going to just angle it in for the fun of it. So I've got the arm drawn. I'm just waiting till you guys get caught up to that point. And then I'll show you how we want to draw this arm. Okay, this one we'll just do as a triangle, but it's going to be short and squat like this. When we are drawing simplified stick figures, pay attention to this. This means your hand's open. This means you have a fist, okay? That's what it represents. So one is open hand, the other one is a fist. So this is a closed triangle, and this is more of an open. That's why we've got a little part on top, a little part on bottom. Then one last thing. We are going to create the direction that this thing is looking. And how we do that, we have to divide it in half, and then we're going to put an eye line on it. So I'm going to come from right here, and I'm going to do a curved line, and you'll notice that there's less between here and here than there is between here and there. Okay, see how I've done that? I've divided it. So he's going to be looking to his left. Actually, it's to his right, but our left. And I'm going to have him looking down. So I'm going to come below halfway. And I'm going to put a curved line. Now you can tell that he is looking down. Not just straight over, but looking down. Now if we put that above it, it would be like he's just looking halfway and looking straight over. Instead, I got him looking down. We're going to learn how to make him look down, left, right, up, down, all that stuff, or straight over. In this case, it's looking down. Hopefully that wasn't too painful for everybody. So now we get to do our next one. And this is the one that's running, that we want not to look like the thing we did on the board. Okay? So first thing we're going to do, we're going to get a little space so we can draw it right in the middle here and have room to put our legs going out and back and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to put an oval on here, but I'm going to lean that head slightly forward. So I'm tilting it slightly to the left. So it's kind of at an angle like this. Hopefully you see that. It's kind of at a slight angle like that. I don't want it necessarily straight down. Now some people do run with their head almost straight up and down. But most people lean just a little bit. Okay? And there's going to be some major anatomy changes here. So we need to pay attention because a lot of people goof this up. All right, so our head's leaning a little forward, so our vertebrae is going to lean a little forward too. So this is like a balloon that's blowing across our page this way. All right, we need to make that little mark again. We're going to put a little mark here that'll be above where we put the hip. So I'm just making a mark so I leave some vertebrae on there. And here's where things get different. Our hip this time is not an oval. This is from the side, therefore it is a circle. And make sure this circle is not bigger than your head from the side. And right in the middle of the circle, we're going to make it look like a bullseye. We're going to draw another circle right in the middle. That is now the hip joint. Looks like a Cheerio or a donut down there right now. Now everybody's like, yeah, I want a donut after school. Nobody wants Cheerios, though. Okay, now pay close attention. I got way too many side conversations going on, and I'm looking at the people doing it. Let's stop. All right? We're going to go ahead and we're going to put the chest on, but it's going to be different because now we're from the side. There's still a neck, but now this isn't very long. It's that narrow. It's very short. Okay? And it's not a little person with super stubby arms going, whee! That's not what that is. Okay? So we're going to do a light line comes down to our mark. And a light line comes down to our mark over here. Now I'll darken it in because I got it about where I want it. Okay, with that drawn, make sure it's not getting much wider than the head. Okay, it's about the same, just a little slightly wider than the head is all. And then we're going to put a circle right here, partly above and partly below our horizontal line that's going across, or diagonal line in this case. That's the shoulder joint. And this is from the side. Okay. This is our foundation to start with. We're going to put arms and legs on it. Now don't blurt out loud. I want you to raise your hand. Does anybody know the position of your arm in relationship to your leg when you're running? You're blurting. All right. Yep. They are the opposite, okay? So if we have the close side arm, this is the close side arm, it's going to go forward like this. We're going to put an elbow on it. And we're going to bring it back up like this, and we are going to put a fist on it, right? For the most part, some people run with their hands open, but most don't. In this case, it's not going to be open. It's going to be a fist. So if that is what the close side arm's doing, if I got to do the close side leg, which way does it go? Forward or backwards? Correct. It goes backwards. So we want this one to come back this way. And we'll come right from the center of our donut down, back up, and put our little triangle on the side, okay? So those two, that arm and that leg are doing just the opposite of each other. What? He is running. That's what we're doing. Yep, very good. So these are the two close side. We're going to do the far side here in just a second. And the far side's where it gets a little tricky because we can't draw the lines back to our original place. We have to, because we don't want it to be a see-through character. So we have to kind of imagine. All right, so watch what I'm going to do now. So for the far arm, this one's got to go back. I'll start right here, but I'm not going to touch the paper until I get right to here. Because I don't want my line going through my body. Okay, because it's on the back side. It's on the far side of the body right now. And I'm going to check my length on here, and I think I'm a little short. So I'm checking that versus that, and I am. So I got to bring it out just a little bit further. And then I'll put my elbow on here. And then I'm going to bring this arm coming back. And we'll put a fist on it. Okay, so now we have our far arm. And then we're going to do our far leg here in just a second. All right, foreleg. Same thing. We're going to go from the center, but we're not going to draw until we get to the edge of the circle. So I'm just lifting my pencil up. I'm at the edge of my circle. Now I'm going to bring my front leg forward. Put my knee on it. And this time, this leg will be the same as, or this foot will be the same as the other one, because it's from the side, therefore it's going to create that type of triangle. So he's running pretty fast. He's striding out pretty good. It's important that this line does not go from here to here, though. It needs to be behind the hip, just like this one needs to be behind the chest. I can't remember the name. There's a sprinter. She's now from American Sprinter who's super, super fast. And if you've seen any of her videos, she's all over TikTok and all over Instagram and stuff. But when she gets to the finish line, and she usually is in first place, she almost always turns and smiles at the camera at the finish line. I wish I could remember her name, but that is the position we're going to put on her head. We're going to put this right here, curve it right there, not as extreme, and we're going to bring it up a little bit. And so it's like she's just looking over at the camera right now going, I am in first. Okay. Now these are two pretty generic shapes. This one's kind of standing forward. This is running from the side. If we were going to do something that was walking, it would be very similar, except it's not going to be extended as far forward or as far back, and same with the legs. The leg would come down more like this, and this leg would be down more like this, and this arm would be over here, and this arm would be down here. Okay? You just bunch everything up to do walking. Now we're going to have some fun, because this next one is totally different. Okay? Is everybody this far? Does anybody need a second? Anybody need a sec? Okay, I don't see any hands. All right, for this one, we're going to have the shape curve kind of going off to the right. So I'm going to draw my spine first, and then I'll draw my head. And I'm going to carry that spine right up into the head and put my oval right here on the upper part of that spine. So let me draw. I'm going to draw it lightly, and then I'll come in and darken it. Now that's about where I want it. So now I'm going to darken it in. Get rid of my extra lines. But I did that because I want the flow to continue on up through the head. That's why it's drawn that way. In this case, the vertebrae, the neck, and the center of the face are all in line. And we'll even put the eye line on it. This one's going to be looking up and away. Okay, so it curves the opposite way of what we've done on the others. The others curve down. This one curves up. I'm going to extend that body just a little bit. It's a little short. There we go. All right, now I'm going to put my shoulders on it. Well, this is at that angle, so the shoulders need to be at that angle too. And this is from the front. So it's from the front, so they need to be just a little bit wider, just like it is over here. I'm going to make my mark so that I'm above the hip. Then instead of a straight line, it's not going to be like razor straight. It's going to curve slightly. And it's going to curve up to that point. This one is going to curve in slightly because your back's bent. It's at a curve. So instead of taking a ruler and drawing a line here and here, this slightly curves out, this slightly curves in. It's a little different shape than what we did with the first one. So hopefully you can see that very slight bow in it. I'll draw this one just a little cleaner. Just like that. Now we're going to put the hip on it, and the hip, this is something that's important. You don't want to draw your hip horizontal, okay? Everything's curving off to the side, so your hip is going to be slightly angled too. So I'm going to put a little line there to indicate that it's slightly angled. I'm going to put a parallel line underneath it, and then I'm just going to put curved ends on it to make it the hip, just like that. So I just add parentheses on either end. I'll hold that up close so you can see what I've done. It's at an angle just like the shoulders are at a slight angle. It's not quite as extreme though. You don't want to draw this and this at the exact same angle, or that hip's going to be really canted over and it won't look right. Okay? It can't get at quite the angle that you can here. You got a broken back. Okay? Again, we'll put the hip joints on here, just like this. All right, here's where things are going to get a little different. Again, we're not going to draw like we're drawing with a ruler. Stop the little side conversations, please. Pay attention. Abigail, pay attention up front. All right, so for this leg, this one's going to be the shorter of the two because the hip is lower on this side and higher on this side. So I'm going to come down this way. I'm going to sweep it over. I'm going to sweep it clear over there like that. Then I'll put the knee on it about a little above halfway right here. That's where the knee's going to go. The other leg I'm going to bring over this way, and it's going to be slightly longer because it's the lower part. So that knee is going to be right here, almost about where they touch. The feet will not look like this because this one's kind of off the ground. So this will look very similar to when we draw the hand open, except it's going to be larger. It's almost like a ballet move kind of thing, like they're spinning in a circle. Now, it's important that you don't put too much of a bend in it. Your legs, your bones and stuff, they don't bend a whole lot. Okay? It's just a slight curve in these things. If you put a big old curve like this, then you're about to snap your leg. Okay, again, with this arm over here, it's going to be the shorter, and this one's going to be not shorter, but it's going to be higher up on the page, and this one's going to be lower because this shoulder's up higher and this shoulder's down lower. So we'll go ahead and do this one first. We're going to bring our elbow a little above our hip because that doesn't change any. So we'll bring that a little above the hip. This one I'm going to bring straight down, and this one's going to be about level with the hip, maybe even slightly lower because it's canted over at an angle. It's angling down. So if I put a line straight across, you can see that that elbow is much lower than the one on the left. Well, I guess I can make the paper straight and show that, like that. Then we'll do the forearm on this one. It'll come out this way. And then we're going to just take the hand and we'll just make it kind of a right angle right there on the hand. I'll blow that up or hold it up so you can see what I've done there. So the hand's open in this case. Now with this one, we're going to bring it down across the leg. And this one's going to be that more that diamond shape, just like that. So I'll bring that up a little closer so you can see what we've done. Now, what I need you to do is I need you to look at what I've drawn up here on the screen. I need you to go and evaluate your drawings. Check if they got the right height. Did you get this too wide, this way, too short, too long? Go through and make your corrections on each one of these three right now. Take a few minutes and make some corrections on there. And redraw it. I mean, if you got it too long, too short, or whatever, erase, correct, and try to get them as accurately drawn as possible. There's your example right here. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. I would have a hard time believing that they are all perfect at this point. I'm going to stop the video right here because I'm going to walk around and look at your drawings, and if I think you missed something, we'll evaluate that together and go over what the correction should be.